grab the snake!
Stop calling it that!
It's a snake. What do you want me to call it?
Hey, rope!
Harrison Ford is an iconic American actor. While he's getting older, he continues to live life to the fullest, continuing to act and look for new ways to live his life. Generations of viewers know and love all of his characters. The famous Han Solo from Star Wars and Indiana Jones from the series of the same name, Indiana Jones, how Harrison Ford lives and how much he earns. Harrison Ford was born on July 13, 1942, in Chicago to a family of an advertising manager and former actor, Christopher Ford, and radio actress Dorothy Needleman, who after the birth of her son became a housewife. 3 years later, a younger brother appeared, Terrence, who also tried his hand at acting. The future actor grew up in a multinational family. His father was a Catholic of Irish and German descent, and his mother was Jewish, whose parents emigrated to the United States from Minsk, Belarus in the early 20th century. Harrison jokes that as a person he feels Irish, and as an actor he feels Jewish, but as far as politics is concerned, he is 100% Democrat. The Ford family lived in the Chicago suburb of Park Ridge in a 2-story Tudor mansion built in the 1920s. Each of the children had their own room. Harrison even had a balcony, and each had the opportunity to spend time on the terrace and the garden in the backyard. Now the Ford family's original home already belongs to other owners. By the way, Ford is not the only celebrity who grew up in this suburb, because Hillary Clinton grew up just 2 houses away. Harrison grew up a calm child, studied without much success, and tried to cope with getting bullied by older guys. In high school, he became interested in social sciences and attended a club for designing train models. Therefore, began to work for an amateur radio station, first as a technician and then as an announcer and commentator for sports matches. Ford achieved great success as a Boy Scout, reaching the second highest rank in the Scout movement, life. That's why, by the way, in the third film about Indiana Jones, Spielberg made a young Indiana Jones a Life Scout. Since childhood, Harrison Ford loved snakes. For one project, he collected them, creating comfortable homes for them, and studied their habits. While still a teenager, Harrison began working part-time in various places. For example, he worked as a waiter, was also a cook on a yacht. He calls cooking during a storm one of his most heroic deeds. His longest-lasting job was at a shop selling tobacco and pipes. After graduating from high school in 1960, the young man began studying philosophy at the prestigious Ripon College of Humanities in Wisconsin. There, he took part in a theater club to overcome his shyness and finally found himself acting. But the last year in college was very difficult for Harrison. He would sleep several days in a row and fail to attend classes. The description of his condition is similar to depression, although he never called it that. Due to his many absences, Ford was expelled just a few days before graduation. In college, Harrison met Mary Marquardt, and they married in 1964. In the summer of the same year, the young man played in the theater and then moved to Los Angeles with his wife to get a job as a radio announcer. However, these plans fell through, so Ford tried to make a life in Hollywood, simultaneously working part-time at a shipyard and in a clothing store. 2 years later, he and his wife had a son named Benjamin, and at the same time, Harrison finally managed to sign a contract with Columbia Studio, where he was paid $150 a week and given small roles in various projects. He first appeared on the screen in the crime drama Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round in 1966 as a messenger. He was not mentioned in the credits, and when they decided to mention his name in the credits of the 1967 Western A Time for Killing, it turned out that an actor named Harrison Ford already existed. He was a famous silent film actor. It was then that the Actors Guild advised the young actor to change his name, and he called himself Harrison J. Ford. Later, he removed the J, so now there are 2 stars with identical names on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The one near the Musso and Frank restaurant belongs to the first Ford, and the second is found near the Kodak Cinema. Meanwhile, Harrison continued to appear in small roles in films and television series such as Journey to Shiloh, Getting Straight in Love, American Style, often without having any lines. In 1969, he was chosen for the main role in the film Model Shop, but the head of the studio said that Ford had no future in the film business and advised the director to hire a more experienced actor. Harrison and Mary then had a second son, Willard, and Ford decided to start making a living as a carpenter. He mainly specialized in house repairs and had a reputation as one of the best cabinet makers in the city, so his services were in great demand in the fashionable West Side, where many movie stars lived. And once Harrison even went on a world tour with Jim Morrison and the Doors as a stage worker. Harrison did not forget about his dream either, and in 1973 he got a role in the George Lucas film American Graffiti. He earned $500 a week on the set, but what was far more valuable was the good relationship he had set up with Lucas, which greatly influenced the actor's career in the future. In 1974, Harrison Ford starred in the TV series Kung Fu and got a role in Francis Ford Coppola's detective thriller, The Conversation. In it, Ford's role was specifically expanded upon because the director was impressed with his performance. In 1975, George Lucas hired Harrison to read lines during an audition for actors in his new movie Star Wars: A New Hope, and later chose him for one of the main roles, the fearless pilot of the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo.
What a piece of junk!
She'll make 0.5 past light speed. She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid. I've made a lot of special modifications myself. But we're a little rushed, so if you'll just get on board, we'll get at it.
The success of Star Wars was astounding, although at first no one believed the movie would do well. The film won 7 Oscars out of 11 nominations, and the performers who played the main characters instantly became world-famous stars. Ford's payout was only $10,000, which was incomparable with the popularity of the film. Shortly before acting in Star Wars, he'd taken part in the horror film The Possessed, where Harrison played a minor role. This was followed by the comedy drama Heroes, but then with offers to act pouring in, many of which were rejected by Ford, for example, a role in Alien. For the next 2 years, the actor starred in the films Force 10 from Navarone, Apocalypse Now, The Frisco Kid, Hanover Street, and the Star Wars Holiday Special. Although at the beginning of his acting career, Harrison's wife Mary supported him and encouraged him to continue following his dream, an affair on the set of Star Wars with Carrie Fisher put an end to their marriage. In 1979, the couple filed for divorce. In May 1980, the sequel to the famous franchise, Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, was released. Harrison Ford earned $100,000 for this role, and his phrase "I know" in response to Princess Leia's declaration of love has become a well-known quote.
I love you.
I know.
For a long time, it was believed that he was improvising, but the actor admitted that although he came up with the answer himself, he offered to say it during rehearsal and not during filming. At the same time, Harrison got his second mega-popular role as Indiana Jones, though not immediately. Director Steven Spielberg came up with the idea of the script together with the producer of the film, George Lucas, and George Lucas at first refused to have Ford take on the main role. He did not want to have the same actor in all his projects, but all the other options fell through for various reasons, and 3 weeks before filming began, Ford accepted the offer. Raiders of the Lost Ark was released in 1981, and with a budget of $18 million, grossed $354 million worldwide, paying off that budget by almost 20 times.
Do we need the monkey, huh?
I'm surprised at you, Jones, talking that way about our baby. He's got your looks, too.
And your brain.
I noticed that. She's a smart little thing.
Indiana Jones has become a well-known character in popular culture. Many comics, computer games, and even music videos have been released about the adventurous archaeologist. For example, the Aqua Group released the song Dr. Jones. The costume designers worked hard to make the hero's famous get-up. They aged his leather jacket in every possible way, bent his hat, and Harrison himself sat on it several times. Another aspect to Indiana's look was a kangaroo skin whip, which was later sold at an auction for $31,000 to an unknown buyer. Ford tried to perform stunts on the set himself, believing that it is always more entertaining for the audience to see their hero's face and not the back of a stuntman's head. So in the scene where Indiana runs away from a giant stone, the actor worked without a stunt double, and the ball was made of fiberglass which weighed about 220 pounds. The famous scene where the hero is attacked by an Arab with a saber was also conceived differently. It was supposed to be a classic Indiana Jones whip fight with a mercenary wielding a sword, but due to suffering from dysentery, Harrison could not shoot this difficult scene for several days and asked the director if they could cut it. Spielberg replied that this could only be done if Indiana Jones pulled out a gun and just shot this guy. This scene remained in the final version, and cutout footage of the fight can be found on some DVD editions. A year after Indiana, the cyberpunk thriller Blade Runner by Ridley Scott was released.
I need you, Dex. This is a bad one. The worst yet. I need the old Blade Runner. I need your magic.
It was quit when I come in here, Brian.
Harrison Ford calls this filming process the most difficult in his career. He worked 50 night shifts and was under artificial rain for a long time. Additionally, due to the difficult conditions, the entire film crew disliked the director, and the studio demanded to make adjustments that Ford did not like. As a result, the movie was filled with compromises and failed at the box office. Critics' reviews were mixed, and first-time viewers did not understand what was happening on screen at all. However, later critics reconsidered their opinion when various versions of the film were released, until a quarter of a century later Ridley Scott released his most complete and personal vision of the film in the final version. In 1983, Harrison married screenwriter Melissa Madison. The man has repeatedly said that Melissa shared both his hobbies and lifestyle. 2 years after the wedding, they purchased land in a quiet Wyoming town and built a house, after which 2 children were born in their family, their son Malcolm and a daughter Georgia. Back in 1983, the finale of George Lucas's trilogy Star Wars: Return of the Jedi was released, and Harrison received $500,000 for this role.
Someone must have told him about my little maneuver at the Battle of Tanev.
Well, don't look at me, pal. I just said you were a fair pilot. I didn't know they were looking for somebody to lead this crazy attack.
I'm surprised they didn't ask you to do it.
Well, who says they didn't, but I ain't crazy. You're the respectable one, remember?
In 1984, the audience saw the movie Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
And wasn't it the Sultan of Madagascar who threatened to cut your head off if you ever returned to his country?
No, it wasn't my head.
Then your hands, perhaps.
It wasn't my hands. It was my misunderstanding.
Much like the first part, the actor performed tricks on his own, but later injured his spine. He had to fly to Los Angeles for surgery, after which most of the stunts for Ford were performed by stuntman Vic Armstrong. But Ford injured his back a second time when he fought with a bear. It's a shame that his efforts ended up being in vain because this scene was cut out. In order not to become stuck in the image of Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford tried to choose diverse roles that would show off his talent. In 1985, he played a detective in the thriller Witness, receiving $4 million in an Oscar nomination.
Oh. You're making a mistake.
The following year, the actor played an inventor and head of a family in the adventure drama The Mosquito Coast. For this role, the actor received $5 million and a Golden Globe nomination. In 1988, the premieres of the thriller Frantic and the comedy drama Working Girl soon followed. The latter explains why he has a scar on his chin, which Harrison received at the age of about 20 in a car accident. In the film, Ford's character claims that he earned it in a fight, although later it turns out that he lost consciousness when his ear was pierced and he hit his chin on the toilet. Another version of the scar's origin was shown in the movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which was released in 1989.
Dr. Jones?
Yes.
I knew it was you. You have your father's eyes.
And my mother's ears. But the rest belongs to you.
There, a young Indiana Jones accidentally hits himself on the chin with a whip. On the set of this movie, Ford performed all the stunts himself, so his stunt double once even asked Harrison to leave him at least some stunts to do so he wouldn't go out of business. In the early 1990s, the number of zeros in Ford's payouts already reached 8. For his role in the action movie Clear and Present Danger, the actor received $10 million, a little less, $9 million, for his work in the action movie Patriot Games, and the detective thriller Presumed Innocent, $12.5 million. For the latter, Harrison changed his hairstyle to look less masculine and confident than the characters in his other films.
Harold Greer's a good investigator, but I'd rather have somebody on this that I've used to working with. The Prancer.
Whatever you want. Just catch me a bad guy.
During that same time, Harrison Ford starred in the drama Regarding Henry, where he played the main role as a successful but heartless New York lawyer. Ford returned to the role of Indiana Jones in several episodes of the TV series The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. In 1995, he played the main role in the romantic film Sabrina, and a year earlier, he played a surgeon sentenced to the electric chair on charges of murdering his wife in the action thriller The Fugitive. The actor went through the whole filming process of the movie uninjured, but while shooting scenes for the trailer, he tore a ligament in his knee. But danger was out to get Harrison not only on the set but also outside of it. For example, once he was almost run over in an underground parking lot by his colleague actor Garrett Wang, known for his work in the Star Trek franchise. He was late for an audition and drove his car at full speed, but at the last moment he miraculously managed to stop. In 1997, Harrison Ford's payouts had increased to $20 million in the thriller The Devil's Own and $22 million in the action movie Air Force One. In it, the actor played the American president James Marshall, and to make it seem more realistic, during the filming of combat scenes, he asked his partner on the set, Gary Oldman, to beat him up, holding nothing back. The following year, Ford starred in the adventure film 6 Days, 7 Nights and received $20 million for it. He played a pilot and flew a single-engine plane himself. The actor became interested in aviation back in the 60s, but he didn't have enough money to finish his studies. He bought his first plane only in the mid-90s, and for the film the actor obtained additional certification so that he was allowed to fly an aircraft with other people on board. In the late 90s, Harrison repeatedly got into various lists of the elite. He was recognized as one of the most beautiful people in the world, the best movie star of all time, and the sexiest man alive. Ford himself approaches his appearance modestly and is not afraid to experiment a little. So at the age of 55, after having lunch with his friend, who had a huge earring in his ear, he went to the nearest jewelry store and asked the salesman to pierce his ear. He even left the guy an autograph, "To Trevor, you made a hole in me, Harrison Ford." For his next works, Random Hearts and What Lies Beneath, the actor received $20 million each, which allowed him to get into the Guinness Book of Records in 2001 as the richest actor alive. At the same time, he is quite practical and keeps the costumes preserved after all the tricks from his filming, wearing them for many more years afterwards. Harrison and his wife Melissa seemed to be the perfect couple, and their personal lives seemed just as happy, but in the early 2000s their marriage broke up. Moreover, this divorce was one of the most expensive in the history of Hollywood. The actor paid his wife something from $85 to $118 million. The exact amount is unknown. According to rumors, the reason for the divorce was Ford's infidelity, but the couple themselves denied it. Even before the divorce was finalized, Harrison began a new relationship with actress Calista Flockhart, whom he met at the Golden Globe Award ceremony. He became the adoptive father of Liam, a boy born in 2001, whom Calista adopted before she met Ford. By the way, at the same Golden Globe, Ford received an award for his contribution to cinema. In 2002, the actor played one of his favorite roles, the role of Captain Vostrikov, the commander of a Soviet submarine in the film K-19, The Widowmaker.
My orders were to prepare K-19 for sea trials, and they'll begin on schedule. But until the trials are complete, to undertake an exercise of this scope may be, with respect, premature.
The film is based on real events that occurred in 1961 when a Soviet submarine crashed due to malfunctions with a nuclear reactor. Part of the filming took place in Russia, and members of the film crew, including Ford, met with submariners who were eyewitnesses of the events during those years. Harrison then earned $25 million and could have received another 20% of the money earned, but the movie did not pay off well at the box office. On May 30th, 2003, Harrison Ford was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and in June the premiere of the action comedy Hollywood Homicide took place. The main actors Ford and Josh Hartnett did not get along well with each other. Hartnett recalled that in between takes they would not talk for hours, and after the end of filming, he vowed never to work with Harrison again. Josh is not the first and not the last with whom the actor quarreled. Ford himself admits that it was really difficult to work with him, but with age he has become more easygoing. In 2006, Harrison starred in the crime thriller Firewall, receiving $15 million, and 2 years later took up wielding a whip again for filming in the fourth part of the franchise, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
So, Dr. Jones, you will help us. Simple yes will do.
Oh, Marion, you had to go and get yourself kidnapped.
Not like you did any better.
Same old, same old.
The film did not receive as many good reviews as the previous ones, and the unrealistic scene where Jones hides in a refrigerator to survive an atomic bomb exploding greatly upset the audience. Also, that scene is a reference to the movie Back to the Future, where in the original script the refrigerator was the time machine. Despite the criticism, Harrison Ford came out on top, receiving $65 million, including a percentage of later earnings, which allowed him to top the rating of the highest paid and most in demand Hollywood actors, according to Forbes. In February 2009, Harrison Ford appeared in the crime drama Crossing Over. Later that year, the actor proposed to his beloved Calista, and then a year later they got married in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where the filming of the movie Cowboys and Aliens took place. This fantastic action movie was released in 2011, and earlier the premieres of the drama Extraordinary Measures and the comedy drama Morning Glory took place. In the following years, the actor starred in several films: Anchorman: The Legend Continues, Paranoia, Ender's Game, but the most famous were the sports drama 42, the drama The Age of Adeline, and the action movie The Expendables 3.
I haven't had so much fun in years.
In December 2015, the 7th episode of the legendary saga Star Wars, The Force Awakens, was released, where Ford returned to the role of Han Solo. The filming was not without injuries. He broke his ankle when his Millennium Falcon 100-foot door fell on his ankle. The payout for this film was $25 million, which allowed the actor to return to the ranking of the highest paid actors in the world. In the fall of 2017, the premiere of the sequel to Blade Runner took place. In it, Harrison played alongside Ryan Gosling and accidentally hit him in the face on the set of one of the scenes.
We could keep it this or we could get a drink.
As Ford jokingly said later, out of the 80 strikes he made, 79 of them did not hit Gosling. In 2019, the actor voiced a cartoon character in The Secret Life of Pets 2, and in 2020, he played in a family drama The Call of the Wild, based on the novel of the same name by Jack London. This is a film about the friendship of a dog and a prospector during the gold rush.
Have much luck up there this last year? Seems more folks coming back pockets empty than full of gold.
I'm not looking for gold.
On the set, the makers of the movie tried to create the most environmentally friendly atmosphere. They did not use plastic dishes and used goods made of recycled materials. Ford himself is an active environmentalist. He has been cooperating with the International Society for Nature Conservation since the 90s, starred in advertisements against deforestation, and voiced a video from the series Nature is Speaking. Harrison has repeatedly tried to draw the attention of the government to the problem that is climate change, and was awarded the Jules Verne Prize for his contribution to the conservation of nature and wildlife. The actor's activities were noticed to such an extent that 2 species of insects are named after him: the spider Calponia harrisonfordi and the ant Fildoli harrisonfordi. And he was also given the honor of choosing a name for a new kind of butterfly, and he named it Georgia in honor of his daughter. The premiere of the 5th part of Indiana Jones is scheduled for July 2022, and the working title for the film remains a mystery for the time being. The Hollywood veteran who turned 79 in July took a serious approach to physical fitness. He began cycling 40 miles a day, walking a lot, and following a diet. Nevertheless, the film had to be interrupted in the summer because Ford overdid it during stunts and injured his shoulder. Indiana Jones, by the way, was recognized as the greatest hero in cinema. There have been many rumors about the relaunch of the franchise with a new actor, but Ford himself says that no one will play the Indiana Jones character after he stops playing him. The story about Harrison Ford is incomplete without mentioning one of his favorite hobbies, aviation. In addition to the plane bought shortly before the filming of 6 Days, 7 Nights, the actor has about a dozen planes and a helicopter. There were also incidents. In 1999, Harrison was involved in a helicopter accident. In 2015, due to engine failure on a World War II aircraft, he made an emergency landing, receiving several fractures and a concussion, and also several times by mistake dangerously approached other aircrafts. Ford uses his pilot skills not only for personal purposes and entertainment, but also participates in rescue operations. In 2000, he rescued a tourist who got lost in the mountains of Idaho, and in 2001, a lost Boy Scout. Back in 2017, Ford witnessed an accident on a highway in California and immediately came to the rescue. He helped the driver get out of the car and waited for the ambulance to arrive. Harrison is still actively involved in sports. Every other day he visits the gym, plays tennis 3 times a week, and a couple of years ago he made his first parachute jump. It was his son Liam's idea, but Harrison enjoyed the new experience. Harrison Ford is one of the most profitable actors for film companies because viewers around the world love to watch the movies he stars in. His fortune is estimated at $300 million, and he's not new to advertising. Over the years, he was a face of a beer brand in Japan, Honda, and Lancia cars, the game Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception in Japan, and the voice assistant Alex from Amazon. In Wyoming, the actor owns a ranch with an area of more than 740 acres on the banks of the Snake River, near the city of Jackson. He made a lot of things in the house with his own hands and gave half of the nearby territories to a nature reserve. Ford's other home is in Brentwood on the west side of Los Angeles. The area of the 2-story colonial-style home is almost 320 acres, and its cost is $12.65 million. Harrison Ford lived there with his second wife. The 2-story house has an area of 7,200 square feet, which even had a bomb shelter. The actor bought the mansion in 1983 for $1 million and sold it in 2012 after reconstruction for $8.2 million. Harrison had a penthouse in New York at his disposal until 2010. He bought it in the early 2000s for $5.3 million and sold it for $16 million. The apartment had 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, an office, a library, a kitchen, a dining room, and a sauna. Ford's car park includes a 1966 Austin Healey 3000, a 1955 Jaguar XK140, an E-Class Mercedes-Benz station wagon, and a Tesla Model S. Ironically, the actor does not like movies and watches his films only when necessary. Will you see the 5th Indiana Jones movie? If you like the video, leave a like and also subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss anything interesting.